Another episode of Too Twisted for TV. Thank you so much for watching. A very, very important, the most important episode I think we've done with Too Twisted for TV, and it's about the vast amount of misinformation and social media posts that have been going around. And this has been happening for a long time, but it is getting far, far worse than it ever has. And I will say, full disclaimer here off the top of this, that some of the things that a lot of people are complaining about, and rightfully so, I've gone back and I've seen a little bit of that in some of my posts from years ago. I tried not to do this, but I'll explain in just a second. But first, to talk to me about this and the impacts it's having on our industry, we have Fox 16 Chief Meteorologist Joel Young. Joel, this is just setting back the world of meteorology, of broadcast meteorology. It is setting us back years, and the progress we have made is being wiped away in the communication of it. It's been by people who aren't meteorologists, but it's by people now that are certified and accredited meteorologists with advanced degrees that are doing this now.
I'll also say, I don't think that we're the only industry that deals with this. I think that, you have the medical field. A lot of misinformation goes around about that.
That's very true.
Obviously, politics and different things. We won't go down that road. We're going to stay in our lane.
We're going to stay in our lane for this one.
We're going to stay in our lane, but
that really would be too twisted.
That would be really twisted. But I think we're in an era where anybody can post anything on social media and not be held accountable to whether it's truthful or not.
Now, I am, and I want to say this off the top here too, I'm a free speech guy. Mm-hmm. I am a person who says you go out and you say what you want to say as long as you're not yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Sure,
you can't do that. You can't do that. But I'm like, let the market sort this out. Let people and that's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say these are the things you need to be aware of. Everybody out there in social media can go out there and do their thing.
Right.
Put maps on and everything, but I just want everybody to be aware that they are setting us back in the communication aspect of this business, setting us back years and years and years.
Yeah, because we've obviously made years of progress of, increasing lead time during warnings, obviously that, but then we're able to forecast much farther out than we were, 100 years ago.
Would you say it is a forecast or pattern recognition?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, when I think of forecast, I think of specific, like high of 50, low of 30. You can't do that past 10 days. Really.
No. You can't get that specific. And so I think, there's obviously a lot of things that get shared out there. And I think sometimes people unknowingly share misinformation. They don't realize,
right.
I think one thing, and I thought about this before we came in here, one thing that I think we all need to remember is we can stop and just take a second before we hit share and think, what are we sharing?
Oh, let's also
Why
mention,
are we sharing
while
this?
you're on that, there is a share button. A lot of people don't understand that. There's a button that Facebook has that says share. That means you share other people's content. That's a whole other conversation.
We will get there.
Other people's content.
We will. Yeah, you don't have to steal content.
You don't have to take it. You share.
That happens a lot on social.
Boy, does it.
Very good point there. But the share button's there. But before you share, why are we sharing it? Are we sharing it to inform our friends about what's possible, or are we sharing? Yes, I think
why
that
do
people.
We share it? That's a great.
Why
question.
do we share it? Are we sharing it to scare people?
That's a great.
I'm not necessarily saying why we post initially. Even before you hit share, why are we?
Why are you doing that?
Is that such a hot topic? Mm-hmm. This obviously caught your attention. I want to share this with my friends. You can stop for a second before you hit share. And say, think,
am I really wanting to share this and contribute to something that would have a negative impact?
Or, do I want to is it necessary? Is it necessary? So, I think that's something that we need to also just remember. You don't have to share everything you see on social media that catches your eye.
Right. Hey, I love the likes.
And
I love the shares.
I
love it.
Especially when it's useful information,
right.
Obviously.
But I mean, it that's the way social media is built. It's because it makes us feel good that people like our content. But
can we just say social media is a drug? I think a lot of people. I think the constant scroll.
Oh gosh, I mean, let me grab my phone here. You can just look at people in any doctor's office anywhere, and they're just scrolling.
And there's doom scrolling, and I think that's where this conversation comes in. People see something. It catches their eye, big text, and it's flashy, and it suggests that there's a big snowstorm coming in 2 weeks. We'll stop for a second. How many times have you watched the weather? The meteorologist said that there's a storm coming 2 weeks from now, and it happened exactly like that meteorologist said. That never happens.
Okay.
That never happens.
But I want to ask you, and I know the answer to this, but I want to get your opinion on this. Why are people out there, meteorologists, non-meteorologists, why are they creating the content of hype?
To make money.
Boom. Okay.
To make money, to get new followers, for that appearance of clout. And that's...
I mean, we love to be loved. We love the likes.
Everybody
we love the
does.
shares.
And that's natural. But, that has to be reeled in some. And I know that we post things on social media. You were talking, we've all... I guess in retrospect, you could make an argument that, I bet that was posted for the clicks and like. Look, we do... When there's information that we put out there, first off, if we put it out there, we're going to put some context to it. I would say we're very careful about our words.
And we're not perfect.
No, we're not.
We are not perfect.
And I'm not saying that. There are times I look back and I was like, should have worded it this way. Or someone will ask a question that makes me realize, okay, maybe it should have been, we're not perfect. So I don't want to make that claim whatsoever.
And sometimes we have a little fun, okay?
Yeah.
It's for fun. But when you see consistency from a source of these outrageous posts, there's something going on. And you've just, before you hit that share button, you've got to just think, wait a second, back up.
And I think the question we need to ask before we hit share is, I won't say like, is it too good to be true? Or is it just a little crazy? Is it maybe does it seem a little bit on the
Does 3 feet of snow in
reality.
Florida actually sound legitimate?
Right. And so then I think I would say before you hit share, start looking around for other, first off, always identify your trusted meteorologist. I think if you're watching this live stream, perhaps the Arkansas Storm Team falls under that category. But when you see these things, start to look around at other meteorologists that you trust. Are they posting those things yet?
Right.
And it may be that, and look, and honestly, I think sometimes it kind of irks us when people come to us and say, what about this? Is this going to happen? You're like, this is 2 weeks. I've never said anything about that.
Respond to it.
Sometimes, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I have time, it really just depends on if I have a second to. But if we haven't shared it yet, there's no reason to get, out of. We're going to get you prepared if there's something like that.
Exactly. But a content creator on social media that does this is going to say, hey, I'm just posting model data that is produced by a computer model that's owned by the federal government or the European computer model.
And there's nothing illegal about that.
And there's nothing illegal, but the thing is that you have to remember that's the way that they try to rationalize why they're going to do it. Well, this is just a computer model. Listen, there are hundreds of pieces of data, and I could open up my laptop and say, I want to find something that shows a hurricane next week. I can go find it with a piece of data. I promise you I can. And we know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's knowingly trying to find a piece of information and putting it out there on social media on purpose there's no rationality to it other than creating hype.
Yeah, exactly.
I can find any weather scenario I want. I can find snow all the way down to Houston, Texas, if I wanted to on a computer model.
I mean, look, these models run. You have multiple models. They run 2 to 4 times a day, and then you have ensembles, and you can find that data. Mm-hmm. There's always an ensemble that's a little crazy, and
the Canadian model. Well, it's always going to be colder than all the others.
Yeah, and so it's frustrating. And I think that again, I want to go back and be clear. A meteorologist should not be trying to create hype. Now, there are times that we post things and
we know it's going to be a big deal.
It's going to be a big deal, and people accuse us of hyping things up. And I guess to some extent, we have to create what I'll call healthy hype. And when I say
awareness,
hype, I guess would be
hype is trying to create something that won't happen.
Right.
Hype is creating a situation that won't happen.
there's awareness. We're trying to create awareness. There's a difference between hype and awareness.
Early April, we saw that there was the potential for violent tornadoes.
Right.
And I don't like to use the word hype, but I am going to absolutely raise awareness that there's the chance for really bad things to happen. So there are times when it's appropriate to forcefully get that message out. But you know what?
By the way, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say,
I don't want to distract you.
For the past couple of weeks, all I've seen on social media is that at Thanksgiving, it's just going to be brutally cold. Yeah. You go outside and tell me how cold it is. Yeah, it's colder, but it was an Arctic blast.
Yeah, I know.
These were from meteorologists with degrees, advanced degrees, that were putting this out there.
Yeah, and it's not great. What I was going to say, though, you were mentioning that first week in April. Just a few weeks ago, and I think you said someone else called or mentioned this to you, sometimes we also have to remember that there is old content that recirculates within the algorithms. Yes. Just a few weeks ago, I saw a video that you posted, you had posted in April.
Yep.
Maybe it was late March leading up to, and you said something like, I can't believe that I'm forecasting this amount of rainfall. And I'm like, first off, hold on. Did I miss something? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was an old video. So that's something else that you need to be mindful of is, maybe it was factual at one time, but if it's recirculating on social media months later.
But it has a date on it. That's what I don't understand.
Yes, but it's also social media makes it very difficult to find that date sometimes. Yeah. And so we have to be mindful of that. That's, and that's the nature of social media. We have to be very calculated in what we put out there.
Right.
And I think something that a good meteorologist, a trusted meteorologist, is going to be very careful about the words they choose, the graphics they put out there. I think that's something, when you think about who your trusted meteorologists are, it should be someone who's maybe not just throwing out big risk, mega snowstorm.
Insane.
Yeah. And
unreal.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Well, and then you get the snow. We have a list here of things that you should look for. But the other thing to look for, too, by the way, are these meteorologists, do they use a name or do they have a nickname?
Yeah.
Are there real pictures in the profile? Are they putting their face on them? If not,
why? And that's the thing. I think if you're not putting your face out there, you're like, who's putting this out there?
And who is this with this avatar of a whatever something
they can hide behind that?
Hide behind it. Like,
avatar.
why are you hiding who you are? Why don't you go by your name? Those are things you have. I've got a list, and this is a list that I've compiled of things to look for. And like I said off the top of the show here, I've been guilty of some of this.
And I will say, too, some of the things that we're calling out, social media rewards a lot of these things. And, pushes those. So to some extent, you and I, when we post social media, we have to think, okay, how can we take a little bit from their playbook to get this post, to get more awareness to something that is actually coming up? For example, overuse of emojis. If you'll notice a lot of my social media posts, I'll put one emoji, maybe two.
Oh, a couple
I don't
emojis
put a lot.
But sometimes that's all it is emojis.
But I've noticed that when there's emojis it does draw people's attention a little bit more. So it does get more attention. So
all caps. Why not just yell everything?
I maybe put all caps in like the first word or two. Just
every now and then I will do an all caps, but a lot of times
if it's actually big, if it's a big event,
or tornado warning or something like that. You want it in all
something
caps.
That warrants that attention.
That attention, but all caps is another red flag that you're dealing with some potential misinformation. Also, when you're looking at, I've got a map I'll show you in just a little bit, but big, bold, bright words all over the map with something that's outrageous that you would think, oh my gosh, 20 inches of snow. When you see that should also raise alarm bells. And when they use adjectives and words like
frequently,
like insane, crazy, unreal, never seen before, unreal, historic, and sometimes weather can be historic.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that has baffled me is why, if you're posting important information, why would you bury that in the comment section? That's openly
strategy.
But that's openly saying, I need your engagement. That's what that says.
That's exactly that is a strategy. If you put all the information in the post, They want you to read the comments. They want you to get buried in the comment. They want you to comment on this comment. They want there to be a conversation.
Right.
And you know what that does? That drives their revenue
and the
money
algorithm
right into their pockets. But another thing I just thought about as we were looking over, especially the top 4 bullet points, you can sum all that up if they are over dramatic.
Boom. Over dramatic. That's a great way.
If it's true, the words will speak for themselves. The
That's right.
graphic will speak for
Let
itself.
the chips fall where they may.
Right.
Give the information and put it out there. And if it's good information, it will get shared. Let your content speak for itself.
Right.
Let it grow organically.
You don't have to go viral every day.
No.
Unless you're making money off of it.
Boom.
Yeah. But
the other thing that some of these characters will do is they'll every day there's a snowstorm in the long range and everything, and of course it doesn't happen. But then we'll get a couple big snows a year, and then when it does happen, they scream, "I told you, I told you!" But a broken clock is right twice a day.
that's bingo, and I wanted to make sure that we said that at some point. Say it again for the people in the back.
A broken clock is correct twice a day.
So for that storm back in January, yeah, I mean, people were throwing out they were throwing maps out about storms
Everything.
like that every week leading up to it, though.
Right.
And you know what? They're going to come back and they're like, I called it.
I called it.
You didn't call it. You called every...
You didn't call anything. A computer model did.
Yeah. That's so true.
You
Because
didn't
we
call it.
all live and die with the models.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's true.
It's sad. It's true. We all have to... Our forecasts are based off of data that's given to us.
I know.
And we're looking at the same stuff, but we're also looking at it with a calculate, like, we know how it works.
Yes. Yeah, we know. And the best forecasters
And they do too. I think they do too. I think some of them are smart enough to know that what they're doing is wrong too.
And that's another good point. Here's another thing to look for. I've got another list of things to look for. Look for credentials. Are they degreed meteorologists? Do they say meteorologist in front of their names? Sadly, though, that has not been a thing to use, that tip there, because there are now accredited meteorologists that are doing this now.
Yeah, and again, and it all goes back to, Todd, because social media algorithms reward it.
Yep. And
They reward it.
And then we look at seals of approval. The National Weather Association, the American Meteorological Society. Does that person have one of those seals? I know the NWA has a digital seal of approval.
Yes. And that's also not to say that people who don't have that seal of approval is not worthy. I know
That's not a catch-all.
Yeah, it's not a catch-all. I have my AMS seal. I don't have my NWA seal. I need to work on that eventually.
I thought you did. You're a member of the NWA.
I am a member, but I don't have my seal. I just haven't taken the test. But yeah, I mean, so it's not a catch-all.
That's not a catch-all, no.
There are all these caveats to every one of these bullet points. But go ahead.
Also, go through go to their page and take a look. Are they always posting maps
Before
like
you
this?
share,
Yeah.
just go look and be like, okay, what's their track record? Who is this guy?
Look at their-
Who is this person I'm sharing?
Yeah. That's
Why
right.
do we share? I think sometimes people share stuff before you even look at the name.
Right. Because it's so easy to do, though. You just
Yeah.
hit the button. Also, unrealistic weather conditions. Like I brought this up earlier. Is it really going to snow 3 feet in Florida? Is it?
Are
really
we going to have a major hurricane on Christmas Day in the Gulf? That's...
There was a couple runs of the
was.
GFS just recently that had a
some-
December hurricane in the Gulf. And we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible you get a little weak something out there this
Sure.
time. I mean, it's not entirely impossible that it's happened before.
To get a little tropical
in
low
the
of
Gulf,
some sort.
probably not so much as maybe the Caribbean. But, again, weather anomalies happen, but they don't happen every day, and they don't,
I mean, if a mosquito burps in China,
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna tell you the way I see it.
That should be like a show title, like if a mosquito burps.
If a,
Go
mos-
ahead.
if a mosquito burps in China, all right, it can alter the weather pattern down the road on the other side of the planet. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. You know,
yeah.
I think it's called the butterfly. You learned it in school, the
butterfly effect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is just the slightest change in an area of the atmosphere can have a ripple
Major.
effect all the way around the globe. And when that happens on a computer model, it gets amplified through time, and it causes feedback problems. It causes these big storms to blow up.
Well, and there's also something to remember, and obviously things may have changed by the time some of you were watching this, but we've got some potential for something coming up next week.
I don't think it's going to be major, but we'll see.
Whether it's rain or,
right.
Again, this is not a show about a forecast. This is obviously, you could watch this a week from now. It's still relevant. But when you have other weather events that are leading up to that, what happens on Saturday can affect, what happens somewhere else on Saturday can affect what happens here on Monday or Tuesday.
We see that a lot in severe weather season. What happens the day prior will affect the next day's weather.
Exactly.
And it's just not known until that gets sorted out. Unrealistic weather conditions, and local meteorologists find out.
Are they saying the same thing?
Right. Are your local people saying the same thing? If you go check them all out, there's several local meteorologists. Check them out.
I think, and a lot of times people will ask, and understandably, if they're seeing this stuff, they want to say, "Hey, Joel, is it true that or hey, Todd, is it true that in 2 or 3 weeks we have a chance for a big snow?" Sometimes it's frustrating, and I want to be like, "Okay, it's not their fault for asking."
But also at the same time, we don't know.
We don't know. 2 or 3 weeks from now,
it's not known.
A lot can happen in 2 or 3 weeks. But but I guess when people ask that, we appreciate that you ask us, about those things. But
if you don't get a response, that typically means we don't think it's going to happen.
I know what I was going to say. But if you're not seeing us post about it, that doesn't mean that we're falling behind and that we're not tracking it. We're always watching. Tracking. We're always tracking. We're also not always hyping. That's the difference. So if you're not seeing us post about it, it's not because we're somehow not covering it as something we don't want you to know about. We just don't want to scare you, or we're not trying to throw misinformation out there.
Right, because if we do put out something that's 2 weeks, I will put out trends. I will post trends. I can't get out an exact forecast, but this has, especially when you're talking about hurricane forecasts, because people have vacations put to the coast. They've got a lot of money riding on a vacation, a lot of their hard-earned money riding on a vacation, and all of a sudden somebody in their basement, their mom's basement in Ohio, puts out something about a major hurricane in the Gulf hitting Florida.
And then they cancel their plans.
Yeah. And it's just,
travel insurance is also very helpful just for future reference.
But you're spending more money.
You are, but if you're planning a trip in the tropics during hurricane season, just a thought. Just a little side note.
Now, don't change to this graphic yet, Kate. Kate's our producer extraordinaire over there. I want to tell you,
camera.
When Joel and I talked about doing this episode, I thought, well, I want to come up with an example of what we're talking about. Yeah. And so I thought, I want to find a map that's going to show a lot of snow. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I knew exactly where to go to find a map that showed a lot of snow that wasn't going to happen. Because you can find it anywhere. Yeah. So I thought, what? I bet the Euro Weekly's control run has a lot of snow all the way south. And sure enough, I clicked on it. There it is.
So that's where you got this.
So that's where I got this. So you can find this information every day in some shape, form, fashion, or the other. And I made an example of what is the hype that we're talking about. Throw it up on the screen.
Wow! Oh my gosh! Look at all that. Fayetteville's going to get clobbered. What is that? What does it say? 10 inches
I
of
got to
snow
put my
there?
Glasses on here.
Can't read that from
here.
here,
It's got like 10 inches.
Wow.
It's got a foot up in.
Cancel your plans.
Yeah, time frame around
Christmas week. I'm traveling.
Yeah.
I need to.
This could be the worst snowstorm, and you got the emojis going, right? Excessive use of emojis, all caps.
Yeah.
In more than a decade. Whoa, crazy, insane. Oh, and then in small print, this is not a forecast. In small print at the bottom.
Yeah, it's like well, and it used to not be like that. I think that they got called out a few times, and they're like, oh, maybe I should add a little disclaimer.
Yeah. In
all lowercase letters. That's wow.
Yeah, wow.
And there's Santa Claus.
Wow is bigger than this is not a forecast.
I see this though a lot.
Yeah.
And I just
when you
keep
see
scrolling. Just keep scrolling. It costs nothing to keep scrolling.
That's right. It's so easy not to.
So easy.
You should and then check. Yeah.
I'm it's just a lot easier to. It is. It does.
I'd share it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But even if you were to post that, even with context, I bet somebody would share it without reading the content.
It's tabloid. Back in the 80s and 90s, it's tabloid.
That's weather tabloids.
Tabloid. Yeah, that's what that is. But I'm proud of that map. I made that in about less than 5 minutes, I think.
That's when you sent it to me, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
That's it.
That's
it's just
perfect.
the big wow there. And, of course, snow.
And I can't tell you, I mean, this is obviously long range because it's lower resolution and whatnot. But, I don't think I've ever seen a swath of snow that wide either.
Yeah,
that's multiple snowstorms that are Anyway, I do want to show this last graph.
Yeah, we have 3 minutes left, so go to it.
Yeah. Because this is very good information, and this can be applied across when it comes to winter weather, tropical weather. But this is a process that we kind of go by, or we generally go by for the forecasting process. And say 6 to 8 days out, there's a storm or there's something that could be out there. But we're looking at it, this is the big picture. Patterns appear. It's possible, stay tuned. We're not saying it's happening. At 6 to 8 days out, you shouldn't be canceling your plans in the Caribbean. We don't know this is going to happen, but models are being consistent. Maybe it's possible, okay? Then you get 4 to 5 days out. You're getting a little closer. Okay, this is still there. There might be some truth to this. That point right there might be some truth to this, should not be said until about 4 to 5 days out, I would say.
Right.
I guess there might be. 6 to 8 days, you're being skeptical.
Right.
4 to 5 days out, you're like, okay, I see this. I smell it stepping in.
I love that saying. I smell it stepping in.
So then 2 to 3 days out, you're like, all right, something's happening. So timing, exact timing. If you're asking me 5 or 6 days out, what time is this moving in? I'm going to say we're going to have a lot of give or take time frame, but when you're 2 to 3 days out, you're like, okay, this is looking like a Saturday morning. It's going to move in, move out, maybe Sunday morning, So those details are starting to come in. So that's when you can start planning. This is about the time you should start canceling your plans. Now, I realize some of these resorts and stuff have requirements. You got to cancel by this date. Right. It's not our job to cancel your plans for you. But then when you're 1 to 2 days out, that's when you take action. If you've got to evacuate for a hurricane, obviously we're not doing that in Arkansas, but if you've got to get your bread and milk, don't buy your bread and milk 6 to 8 days before the,
I don't understand the whole bread and milk
thing.
That's a whole other episode of Two Twisted.
But I'll tell you what, bread and milk, they make a lot of money off it. I mean,
yeah, they do.
In the winter with all these people.
And we don't make any money off of it.
No.
Okay, we don't make any money.
Would be nice.
No commission. No. So I want to encourage every kid out there who wants to be a meteorologist to keep your passion. And I want you to do what you're doing and keep your passion. I want all the consumers out there of this information on social media to be especially aware of it. I'm all about free speech. I don't believe that I don't think that this episode of Too Twisted or anything is going to stop it.
World, no.
All we're trying to do is raise awareness about it. It's going to happen. We're not going to be able to stop it. All we want to do is protect you, the consumer, and make sure that you're not buying into this bad information.
Give you a little peace of mind. Give you, try to take a little anxiety from you. Like all these big, crazy forecasts, wow. Be skeptical. Be very skeptical.
Thank you so much, Joel, for being on this episode of Too Twisted for TV. We might have you back.
I'd love to. Yeah, it's got a lot of walking to do, right?
I feel like this has been kind of therapy, too, getting all this off our chest.
It is.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody.